The coffee cup shattered against the marble floor, sending shards of porcelain and streams of caramel macchiato across the gleaming tiles of the Manhattan hotel lobby. Maya Chen didn't flinch. She'd been working the breakfast shift at the Grandeur Hotel for 3 years. Now, and spilled drinks were practically a morning ritual. What she didn't expect was the man in the $1,000 suit dropping to his knees beside her, his hands already reaching for the broken pieces. "Please don't," Maya said quickly, touching his arm. "You'll cut yourself. I've got this." The man looked up at her, and something in his steel-gray eyes made her pause. He wasn't looking at her the way most guests did, that distant, barely there acknowledgement of service staff. He was actually seeing her. "I'm the one who knocked it over," he said simply. "Seems only right I help clean up my own mess." Maya smiled despite herself. "Sir, with all due respect, that's what they pay me for. Besides, those shoes probably cost more than my monthly rent. I'd feel terrible if you ruined them." He glanced down at his Italian leather Oxfords, then back at her, a ghost of a smile playing at his lips. "Fair point. But at least let me compensate you for the trouble." "No trouble at all," Maya assured him, already sweeping the larger pieces into her dustpan. "Happens all the time. I'll have this cleaned up in 2 minutes, and I'll bring you a fresh coffee. On the house." What Maya didn't know was that Jonathan Pierce had been watching her for the past 20 minutes. The billionaire CEO of Pierce Hospitality Group had arrived at his own hotel unannounced, something he did quarterly at each of his properties. He believed you could tell everything about a business by how it ran when the boss wasn't watching. And what he'd seen had surprised him. He'd watched Maya help an elderly woman navigate the revolving door, carrying her bags without being asked. He'd seen her kneel down to comfort a crying child, who'd dropped his stuffed animal, producing a pack of crayons from her apron to distract him while his frazzled mother checked in. She'd even shared her own lunch with a homeless man, who'd wandered into the lobby, discreetly handing him a sandwich wrapped in napkins before the security guard could ask him to leave. Now, as she returned with his replacement coffee, perfectly made, he noticed Jonathan made a decision. "Thank you," he said, accepting the cup. Then he reached into his jacket pocket and pulled out his checkbook. Maya watched, confused, as he wrote with quick, decisive strokes. When he tore off the check and handed it to her, she nearly dropped the coffee pot she was still holding. $10,000? She whispered, her eyes wide. "Sir, I think there's been a mistake." "No mistake," Jonathan interrupted. "Consider it a thank you for exceptional service." Maya stared at the check, her hands trembling slightly. $10,000. That was more than she made in 6 months. That was her mother's medical bills. That was the community college tuition she'd been saving for. That was everything. And yet, she carefully folded the check and held it out to him. "I can't accept this." Jonathan's eyebrows rose. "Excuse me? I appreciate the gesture, I really do," Maya said, her voice steady despite the hammering of her heart. "But I was just doing my job. Actually, not even my job. Just being a decent human being. If I take this money, it turns all of that into a transaction. And those moments weren't about money. They were just about helping people because it's the right thing to do." For a long moment, Jonathan said nothing. He simply looked at her. This young woman in a coffee-stained apron who'd just refused more money than most people saw in months. Around them, the hotel lobby hummed with its usual morning chaos, business people rushing to meetings, tourists studying maps, the endless ding of elevator bells. But in that moment, it felt like they were in a bubble of silence. "What's your name?" he asked finally. Maya Chen." "Maya," he repeated, pocketing the check. "Do you know who I am?" She shook her head. "Just a very generous customer, I'm guessing." Despite himself, Jonathan laughed, a real laugh, not the polite chuckle he used in board meetings. "I'm Jonathan Pierce. I own this hotel. Actually, I own the entire chain." Maya's face went pale. Oh no. Did I just refuse a tip from the owner? I'm so sorry, Mr. Pierce. I didn't mean any disrespect." "Stop," he said, holding up a hand. "You didn't disrespect me. You impressed me. In fact, I want to offer you something else. Not money, a job." "But I have a job," Maya said, bewildered. "Not that job. Come work for me as the new manager of guest services. The position just opened up, and I think you'd be perfect for it." Maya felt the lobby spinning around her. Manager of guest services? That was a real career. Health insurance? A salary. Respect. But reality came crashing back just as quickly. Mr. Pierce, I don't have a college degree. I barely finished high school because I had to work to help my mom with bills. I don't have any management experience or— You have something better than a degree, Jonathan interrupted. You have empathy. You see people, really see them. Do you know how rare that is, especially in this industry? He gestured around the opulent lobby. I can teach someone about profit margins and operational efficiency. I cannot teach someone to care about people the way you do. That elderly woman you helped? That's my mother. She lives in Connecticut, but she comes to the city once a month. And she always stays here. She's been complaining for years that the staff treats her like an inconvenience, but not you. You treated her like she mattered. Maya's eyes widened. That was your mother? It was. And the way you handled every single interaction I witnessed this morning tells me you're exactly what this hotel, what this entire company needs more of. The emotions hit Maya all at once. The exhaustion of 3 years working double shifts. The worry about her mother's diabetes medication. The dreams she'd carefully folded away in a drawer marked someday. And now this man, this impossibly wealthy stranger, was offering her a chance to unfold those dreams. But still, doubt crept in. Why me, really? Jonathan set down his coffee cup and looked at her directly. 5 years ago, I was in a car accident. Nothing major, but I was shaken up, sitting on the curb waiting for the ambulance. Waitress from a nearby diner brought me a glass of water and a blanket from her car. She stayed with me, talking, keeping me calm until help arrived. When I tried to pay her, to thank her, she said the same thing you just say.